And I just said, can we all just do this for a moment? Can we all just do this? Woo. So I had the whole audience humming with me. And so it created this space for me to calm my nervous system down. I'm Tony Riddle. Today, I'm joined by the co-founder and CEO of Pulsetto, Povilas Sabaliauskas. Did I get that right, Povilas?
Perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Almost perfect, Yeah.
Sabaliauskas. There's
Yeah.
a Lauskas. I like that.
Yeah.
So really proud to have you guys on board here. And we were just unpacking prior to the call that I often say our performance is only as good as our recovery. And my performance has to be really spot on right now as I'm training for an endurance event, but I'm also performing in different worlds. I'm a father to 4, I have a business, and I'm an endurance athlete. And how I traverse those worlds, this recovery piece that I'm going to speak to, or we're going to speak to now, has been really quite profound for me. So just as an intro for Povilas now, he's a neuromodulation expert leading the development of this, which is Pulsetto's device. It's an innovative vagus nerve stimulation device. Designed to work with sleep, right? Reduce anxiety and empower mental well-being. And as I've just kind of began with there, it's really helping me with my recovery, but I'm lights out within minutes with this. And I'm not the only one, because I have coaches. I have a team of coaches, Nat Life coaches, and they're all subscribing to this. And again, great feedback. One of them, before going into talks or discussions, they've been using it and just had profound results with it. So as a wearable, I just think it's brilliant. And I get it. It's helping people reconnect with their better selves. Yeah. So, Povilas, welcome to the show, brother. Welcome to the show.
Very nice to meet you. I have a lot of questions for you, but, it seems that for me, it's, let's say, like unimaginable having a business for children and having a time to run marathons. It's I do not know how to structure my life in this way. Of course, having a startup, it's a different thing, but it's amazing feat that you're, let's say, doing simultaneously.
Yeah. Again, performance is only as good as the recovery, right? So it's how we show up in those worlds. I say so.
Yeah.
It's not to say I'm not smashed at the moment, because I'm running a lot of miles and there's a lot of training there, because it's not just running. I have to do strength training and all the other recovery modalities that I play with. But I'm training even my digestion at the moment, let's say, because I have to be eating while moving. It's rather like best way to describe it is like a moving picnic, where you just keep going. I'm not stopping to eat. I have to just keep going around the running track and eating. And where there's lots of modes on this, and I want to unpack some of this, because there's like a sleep mode, an anxiety mode, etc. And for me, I've also gone into like digestion mode, because if I'm training to that level and or I've even had it could be a stressful call or an email or something, and then I'm going into eating something, my digestion's not really in the best position for that. Whereas this is a brilliant down regulation tool that's enabling me. So there could even be like a digestion setting. It'd be amazing. But I think
this is in a pipeline. I would say this is in a pipeline. We're trying to find this, but with digestion, you have a lot of factors. What kind of quality food do you have? You cannot digest. Have you drank water, etc. So a lot of uncontrolled parameters. But I think we'll have a very good program for this. Maybe a little bit later, but we're trying to do this. This is one key concept which is should be very helpful for people before eating, or in a 30-hour window before eating. But we are trying to find the right optimal intensity and duration which can help you to digest better and not overeat. So 2 in 1. We're trying to give you better digestion and better satiety feeling.
I'm all for overeating at the moment. I'm on like a 10,000 calorie diet right now, but I'm an exception right now, and I'm fully on board with being the guinea pig here. But for our listeners, this is kind of it might be a new concept, right? And even perhaps haven't heard of what the vagus nerve is. So
Yeah.
can you unpack
Yeah.
what exactly the vagus nerve is, what it does, and why it's so important?
Vagus nerve is the longest cranial nerve in your body. So what does this mean? So the nerve which goes through from your brain to your all internal organs. And if we say like in a human language, it's a highway of information where all the internal organs are, let's say, speaking with the brain, and we are tapping into that signal. So your brain and your organs constantly communicates via vagus nerve. So we can, when you place the device on your neck, let me show you. So when you place the device on your neck, apply a little bit of gel, we can activate some specific vagus nerve fibers which are responsible for relaxation. So basically, when we push electricity to your skin through your muscle level and activate vagus nerve, some specific fibers which are going from the body to the brain, we push and activate those fibers which are responsible to push your body into relaxation state. So from sympathetic to parasympathetic state. So, it's like you can imagine you have a wire, and if you are trying to relax, you need some signal. So we push that signal, mimic body's signal, and we push you into relaxation state. So what happens when we activate those specific vagus nerve fibers? Basically, your brain tries to recalculate. It increases a little bit of blood flow in the brain, and it says, okay, my body is trying to relax. So we are sending signals to gut, to spleen, to kidneys. So now relaxation mode, what does this mean? So you're trying to rebuild your body, basically. When you're relaxing, you're retaining and you're basically increasing your longevity. So your digestion works better, your kidney works better. You are excreting acetylcholine in the spleen, which helps to reduce inflammation for a little bit. We're also trying to develop this kind of program, but we are trying to find the optimal parameters. Your heart rate a little bit drops, your resting heart rate. Your heart rate variability increases, and your breathing rate slows down. So we're like, with this kind of small device, we basically to push your body into relaxation state. And vagus nerve, it's I would say, long forgotten secret in some ways. Due to that, all the meditations, breathing exercises, which are relaxing, they're basically trying to regulate internal, let's say, mechanisms via vagus nerve stimulation. So if you can say, okay, how I can do this naturally, because this is artificial, let's say like this, it mimics your body's, let's say, function. So you can do breathing exercises, let's say box breathing. I would say I would not recommend to do the Wim Hof breathing, due to that it's activating sympathetic nervous state.
Technique,
so you're increasing, hyperventilation. But meditation is very similar to vagus nerve stimulation, but there is a huge problem with meditation that you need to have good, let's say, you need to know how to do this. And this is the biggest problem that, a lot of people try to sit still, meditate, try to think of something, but they do not know what kind of state they need to reach. And, this comes with practice. And a lot of people do not have allocation of time. Let's say if you have children, you do not have dedicated 30 minutes, 1 hour a day to just sit, relax, and try to think about yourself. How are you interoceptively feeling? And this is like a quick way for some of these problems. So all those ways we are saying, if you can maintain them, use it. This can be just a tool in a toolbox. It's, I would say it's better that it's faster. I would say like this.
Yeah, I'm going to speak to that. I think it's what surprised me was how quick the in was. Yeah. I'm familiar with a lot of breathing practices, and a lot of breathing modalities. I kind of geeked out on it for a long period of time because, again, it's really helped my recovery. And I work with cold and I work with hot and cold contrast therapies. I do humming work for the vagus nerve, and that's a huge influence in it. But again, as you speak to, there's 4 kids in that mix, and there is a business and there's other stuff going on. So in an ideal world, I can find time for all of that. But if I've just gone laptop down from a call I've made and I've got to go and be papa for 4 kids, what I've actually been doing is, whilst I'm on a call, is putting this on. That's what's quite interesting for me. And it's just, again, as I'm closing the Mac, I'm already out there and I'm already in that space. And of course I can be doing that. Well, I can be breathing and thinking about that, but it's one more decision that has to be made, if that makes sense. So I find, I love all the breathing and I do love meditation, and don't get me wrong, I wouldn't want to replace that. But I do feel there's for the revolving door of going from one space to the next space to the next space, brilliant for that, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. So, we are living in a very, let's say, fast-paced environment. This is basically, a tool for, I would say, simple man or a woman who has a lot of things to do, as we all do. And, just place it, stimulate it while you're on the call, as you mentioned. And you can prepare you for the next endeavors that you want to tackle, or even just to calm yourself down. Usually, when I wake up, I start, this is not very healthy, but I wake up, I go in 10 minutes, start to work from my home, but I place the device, and when I'm reading, let's say, like what my to-do list, my emails, I stimulate myself and I try to push myself into, let's say, a relaxation state. Due to that, sometimes I wake up, let's say, anxious already. Okay, there's a lot of things to do, what I need to tackle, and this gives me, let's say, like a balance where I can think through, go back to, let's say, higher level of thinking and say, okay, let's restructure. I put my, let's say, to-do list yesterday. Now I can rethink easily. Was it correct? Was it not? And it helps me. Previously, I did it like, you mentioned cold showers, but I still do them, but not as often. Due to that, I like to mix with sauna. I will cold shower with the sauna. I like that contrast. But, in a, let's say, I live in a, let's say, like a apartment. I do not have a sauna, so I needed to switch something. Yeah.
Yeah. You need to find something to flip the switch. I guess what I feel is the merging of those two worlds. I call it like the nat life and the zoo life, right? There's like these two worlds, right? And in the nat life, I have breathing and meditation, I have humming, and I have getting out in nature. And we know studies suggest 20 minutes in nature will lower your heart rate, blood pressure. So that's the state we're talking about when we mention parasympathetic or sympathetic. Parasympathetic, for those that aren't aware, rest and digest. And fight and flight is the sympathetic. Well, there's many others, right? So fight, flight, freeze, whatever that might look like. And what you're speaking to there is that feeling when you first wake up is in that realm, right? You've already woken up in perhaps more of an alarm state. And how do we calm that? I generally get up at silly o'clock in the morning. I'm up at 4 at the moment. So I start everything much, much earlier, 3 hours before anyone else even arrives, to opening their eyes in the house at the moment, which is a long period of time, but I also have a lot to get down in that 3 hours. So how can we do that? And there is get to the mat, and I have a movement practice, and I get my eyes in some light. But I honestly feel like we're in this amazing space right now which is a wearable again, right? And how life-changing, or we could say for the ever-changing experience that is life, because it's always changing, right? And there's new dynamics. If you have kids, it's always new dynamics. And this merging of the two worlds for me, it's like there's a harmonizing there, that rather than go, oh no, and there are many people in my world that go, no, I'm not wearing something like that. And there's an element when this first landed for me, someone suggested it to me, there was an element where I was a little bit, I don't know, I'm the natural lifestylist, that kind of communication. And I was like, hold on a minute, this is merging these two worlds, and we're understanding so much more now. It's a really great time, I think, if we lean in a little more. And what I've immediately noticed is it's enabling me again to drop in, whereas I don't have 20 minutes perhaps to go into nature, but I can get the same experience in any environment.
But sometimes I get a pushback. Okay, electricity to a body, it's somehow unnatural. But your body is constantly firing neurons, etc. It has a lot of let's say data, knowledge, and electricity internally. Maybe it's not very high, but it has it. But in general, neuromodulation as a field, I would say, started even there are some ancient Greek or ancient Egypt, let's say depictions where they used electrical eels on their legs or on their hands to reduce head pain, lower back pain. So they understood that there is a way where you push a little bit of electricity to some place and you can use it as a remedy. Of course, when we, in the 18th, basically 19th century, we started to control electricity. There was a huge gap, but it's not something new. It's maybe, let's say, when we started to control electricity and try to apply, okay, here I can push it this a little bit and try to mimic my natural state, and to feel better. I think this field is coming very fast due to that, you have all the wearable devices right now, from EEG, brain reads, let's say, MEG, magnetic resonance, headbands where you can read your brain or map your brain quite, let's say, accurately. But you have Apple Watches, Oura Rings, and you have a lot of data, and now you can see on that data, okay, is alcohol bad? Yeah, of course it's bad. Now you have a number, how much is bad for you, for your personal reasons. You can say, okay, do eating before bedtime is bad? For some people, no, but for some people, for sure. Or eating, let's say, spicy food. This is also true. You can cross-check it. But with that, realm of data, a lot of people do not want to see the data due to that they do not know what to do. And that was, I would say, the biggest problem. You have all the data and you see that you are basically destroying yourself in some ways, maybe not that hard of a word, but what to do? So Pulsetto, and other technologies which can activate or push signal into your body, we can, let's say, close the loop and we can say, okay, does your heart rate variability is small? We can increase it on your own data, not on some paper data. I say, okay, clinical proof is very important, but the on self data, on your trend lines, that is the crucial point which you need to allocate. How are you feeling in general? If on paper some medication helps, but it does not help it for you, is it better or not? I would say you will not be using it. So, my opinion, the best customer for us, it's a person who has its own data, has its own trend lines. He knows what he needs to improve, and we are one of the tools. And let's say, in some ways, we're trying to optimize for usability. And if you see on your own data that we can increase your heart rate variability, decrease your resting heart rate, increase your sleep score quality, let's say if you're using Oura Ring, you're a customer for life due to that, you will never want to go back if you are sleeping better.
Yeah, so really an individual specific lens then as to what that person needs. Because for some it would be, oh yeah, I'm all right eating at this time. I'm okay sleeping at this time. Okay. And then before we know it, it can create for some possibly an element of, well, what's wrong with me? Why do I feel like that when I do that? Whereas this answers that question. It's like, and many at the moment, and I get this a lot, how's your heart rate variability so high? And it's like, well, because I've been mapping it and I've really been working on, I noticed the shift in this. If I do this thing, this changes it. And you get permanent kind of feedback loops of that, which is brilliant. And then knowing that this can obviously change a lot of those stats is quite something, right?
Yeah. But I would say, this is not like a magic pill. This is not magic. If you're using it constantly, like with training, if you're training, you let's say achieve some, let's say your desired metric, and you stop, it will go back if you are not changing your lifestyle. So this is a tool maybe just to push you forward, get your better sleep, and with better sleep you can function way better. So this can be like a catalyst to add some additional things, therapies, exercises, and etc. But if you are using it like as a preventative measurement, it will
Yeah.
work. But you need to build like a habit. It's still, habit stacking or building habits is the most crucial thing for any. There is no technology in the world which would be better than using something easily for multiple times a day, a week, or a month. The long-lasting effect, and basically is the crucial thing.
Yeah, there's been a few voices in this world at the moment on, speaking to, well, if you need to keep down regulating, then you need to get to the point of what it is, why you're upregulated so much, right? But equally, if we don't get to down regulating our systems, we don't even notice that we are upregulated in the first place. So often those voices come from the people that have been in that work for a long period of time. But those that are just entering, again, great entry level. I'm curious, Povilas, so because we all love a story, right? And we all love to hear the story. Yeah. So I guess for me, I'd love to hear it, but I'm sure the audience will as well. So what inspired you? What inspired this co-creation of Pulsetto? What's your journey that shaped it?
There are two, let's say, things that when I was basically finished, let's say, school, I wanted to do something. But in medicine field, due to that I'm saying not good for athlete, but I like to train myself, I like to check myself, my data, and etc. So biomedical engineering was very good field due to that I'm more technical person than the, let's say, not theoretical, but like marketing, etc. I like building things, I like creating things. So, I saw neuromodulation firsthand for deep brain stimulators where you have like Parkinson's disease and you apply a little bit of current in the brain and you can reduce symptoms of, let's say, tremors when your hand is shaking. And it was like eye-opening. It looks like magic, If I had like a YouTube video, I could show you, and you will never. You can basically see that it's life-changing in seconds.
Yeah, powerful.
Yeah. So understood. Okay, this is very interesting. So I had several jobs, but I live in Lithuania, so it's a quite small country. There are not a lot of, let's say, technological company which can be in this kind of field. So I had my own company in manufacturing, but later I found a company which we were, let's say, starting the neuromodulation in Lithuania as in general. So I applied to them, I was quite, let's say, interested in neuromodulation field, so we had like very good synergy, and I started in Lithuania vagus nerve stimulation for drug-resistant epilepsy, later drug-resistant depression. So basically, I attended all the implementation in Lithuania for the Livanova device, which was very interesting, and I had a lot of interesting experience attending these kind of operations, from deep brain stimulators to organ transplantation. So it was like a dream come true until my father became quite ill, and he was degrading over time. So with the father, I had very good relationship, and I visited once a week, and I see he's degrading, and it was quite rapid. So okay, said I have very good connections with physicians in Lithuania and in Baltic region and even in Western Europe. So we did all the tests, and it was nothing on paper. He was completely fine, but something was happening, And I had a lot of talks with neuromodulation people abroad, with neuroscientists, and undisclosed. Let's say we were thinking, maybe it is depression or something like this, because on data it looked like it might be a psychosomatic something, So vagus nerve stimulation has a drug-resistant depression indication, but he was not diagnosed. So I wanted to say, okay, let's try external one. If internal one cannot be applied due to that he is not, let's say, does not have this kind of condition. So I tried to find similar devices on the market, and I could not find it. So, being an engineer myself, so, okay, I can build this one. It's not, it's hard to build, but it's buildable device. But I did not have knowledge about that. My father will pass away, so I did not finish it in time. So the project basically went to a drawer. My father passed away, and COVID happened at that moment, and I was contemplating, okay, why there is no such tool on the market. It might help, for multiple conditions. Vagus nerve stimulation has a lot of potential for various conditions. And later I found my co-founder Vitalius, whose wife was suffering from cluster headaches. And I presented some information that there is some external device on the market which is prescribable for migraines and cluster headaches, and we joined forces and said let's try my device on her and see if it works. Basically we could not buy that device on the market, so we tried it, it worked, and we understood that we have something. We have some, let's say, something that can democratize this kind of technology. It's, so we built that device, we understood that we need funding. At that point, we already, let's say, had a proof of concept. Of course, when you're presenting a neuromodulation device on the market and say, okay, I will apply some electrical stimulation to your nerves and it can cure something, or it might reduce some symptoms of some conditions. We did not get a lot of funding on that side because everyone say, okay, you're crazy. Because who needs electricity, But yeah, we found a company, Killer Health, who believed in us because we showed them that it works. And actually we wanted to prove that it's needed on the market. We went to crowdfunding platform, so on Indiegogo. And when we launched it, we understood that this is way more needed than when we even thought. Due to that, if you have stress, and you have from stress, you have usually sleeping problems, and we entered on the Indiegogo campaign these markets, and we understood that we have something that is very needed and very prevalent to tackle. So, we started, and the rest is history. We're growing very fast right now. So we're trying to keep up with the demand. Due to that, it's quite cheap. Our closest competitors are, I don't know, 700 euros or something like this. So, yeah.
I love backstories. I really do. And just to say, sorry to hear about your father, by the way.
Yeah, but it's life.
Well, it is, and there's periods of time when we've just had that. Katerina, my wife's mother, passed away, so there's an integration process of that, isn't there? And again, modalities and tools that we're speaking to here help us also transition through those times, right? Doesn't mean bypass it or push it down, but it certainly helps us, navigate it, I think, and hold ourselves within it. You mentioned sleep there, around, there's anxiety and there's stress that can impact sleep. How does it? What's the recommendation here with sleep? Before, I'm in a different world because I could literally, if I close my eyes right now, Povilas, I could probably just fall asleep. You know what I mean? I'm at this edge of overtrain, and sometimes wherever that takes me. But for the people that aren't running, looking to run 100 miles a day for 10 days, what's the timing of this before sleep? What does that look like?
When you are trying to go to sleep, you need several things. You need a cool temperature let's say, in your bedroom. Usually that helps your body to relax. So it's also trying to, basically push, nudge to your parasympathetic state. But usually we recommend using 10 minutes of stimulation in 2 hour window before going to bed. So your body can push into, let's say, rest and digest state, and you can fall asleep better. So of course, we recommend if you awake during the nighttime, you can stimulate it even more. But usually those people who awake has not stress, but anxiety. And, we're trying to educate people because a lot of people do not understand what is stress, what is anxiety, and how we can differentiate and how we can tackle this kind of issues. This is also a burden of us that we, from technology, we need to educate people, what is anxiety, and in simple terms, stress is when you have, let's say, work-related stress and you can pinpoint the thing that is causing stress. Anxiety is when you're feeling stressed, but you cannot identify a source. And you need to tackle this a little bit differently. If you cannot identify, more insidious, so you need to maybe stimulate more, do rigorous exercises, some high intensity interval training. So basically just try to ramp up to maximum your nervous system and go down. So, it balances itself out. So for sleep, we see that, those 10 minutes, it's quite very good baseline. And we see that we cannot increase your let's say sleep duration, but what we can increase your how does it go? So you fall asleep faster. We found from the data that if you are not with your phone, it's from 8 to 6 minutes. So it's quite. It does not feel like much, but it's quite a lot. And also we saw that on a data side that we get you more quality time of sleep. So you have deep sleep increased, REM sleep increased, and decreased awake time. So, when you are sleeping, you move a lot, and this is considered awake time. You do not remember it, but this is happening. So we increase your quality of sleep, but do not increase the duration of sleep.
Okay, so the depth of sleep becomes deeper, and therefore the lighter part of that sleep is also a bit deeper, right? Yeah.
It's in longer duration, I would say, like this. Less awake time.
I'm going to put caveats in there, for like what you were alluding to there around the temperature. Because again, guys, it's not a green light to be like on your phones scrolling through Instagram whilst with the device on with an expectation you're going to get the sleep. But other factors, right? Because we're talking about this merging of worlds. So we know the temperature has to be down. Lighting impacts that, what the impact of the lighting would be on melatonin for that sleep. So preparing the appropriate environment, but this again helping us be prepared within that environment. That makes sense, right? Those are the two worlds merging, those two worlds. Do you have any stats on kind of the, working with, I know it's individual specific, but is there like, do you have any to match someone's expectations perhaps on if it is anxiety or burnout or stress? Is there the people want to know about results? What time frame does that look like? Is there any stats on that? Did that make sense?
So, there are people who feel instantly. Let's say they are stressed, but they can feel it like this when you're stimulating and you're pushing and, maybe, or people who are very, let's say, emotionally controlled everything. So usually I see that those people, even in, let's say, some conferences, when we apply the device for them, they feel it instantly. So, it's already like a sale for them due to that. Usually we cannot reach this kind of thing. So, in my opinion, in 1 week, you should feel on a data level that we can increase your heart rate variability and decrease resting heart rate. Let's say when we did a clinical studies, we had, let's say, in 2 weeks, one range of decreasement, let's say, stress or anxiety scale, we decreased by 40%. I can share you data via, email. But in 4 weeks, we had 60% of decreasement of stress scale and anxiety scale. So let's say if you see some first indications that it helps, usually you use it the same or even more. So it helps and builds your, let's say, stress resilience. Let's say like this. You should also build, let's say, your stress resilience. And by building stress resilience, you can increase your heart rate variability and decrease your resting heart rate. So, it's managing expectations is for whom, for professional athletes, we can increase you to 1-2% on that data level. But for you, it might be that you are a champion or not. Those 2%
1%,
might
they
be
say
the
1%,
difference.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but it's very hard to track that 1%. But if we can decrease, let's say, we have like professional athletes, usually with young people, we have like a problem, which they're in a training session, they perform amazing. Let's say track and field, 100 meters per sprint. But when they are on, let's say, competition, they cannot perform because they overhype and they need to reduce the stress levels. And they need to stimulate and go to the place where they are not in the tunnel mode, where they cannot concentrate and they do a false start, and later, basically usually you lost already all the tension in your body. So also we have like a case where professional athletes are using it after the first day of competition. You usually have a second day of competition, some finals or the semifinals, and they cannot go to bed, overhyped as well. So we push the body into relaxation state. So, multiple ways to apply this kind of device. And, we have some specific parameters for everyone uses, but, for professional athletes, for, let's say, biohackers, usually we can provide some additional information how to use it. But yeah, for myself, I have a little bit of stage fright if there are more than 200 people. So I usually try to stimulate for 10 minutes before going on a stage if there are some, 200 people in a room. But, everyone has his own demons, and usually they are from stress or anxiety or from some trauma. But,
Especially when it comes to public speaking. Yeah. I was at a health summit, and it was in Georgia, and I was on stage, and of course there's a translator in a box, right, communicating with the audience, but it's a big audience, and we were having loads of tech issues, and I'm up on the stage, and I don't have my presentation, and I'm like, oh my God, it's like, how do you feel this space? So I could feel myself getting a bit upregulated. So I said, right, okay, guys, we're having problems with tech right now. Can we all do this practice? This really helps me calm my nervous system. So it was vagus nerve. I wasn't aware of this at the time. And I just said, can we all just do this for a moment? Can we all just do this? Woo. So I had the whole audience humming with me. And so it created the space for me to calm my nervous system down. But it's exactly the same modality. It's the vagus nerve. To one of those expectations, just to let you know. So one of my coaches just certified. He's just become a coach, a Nat Life coach, and he comes from a photography and videography background, but has been really into the lifestyle, right? Getting out in nature and movement and cold and hot and cold exposure and breath. So he was here, and then so he now has this. So he voiced that it's 3 times a day he's using it. And it's had a complete shift for his anxiety because he's in the transition of letting go of one career and moving into coaching. So he's been feeling the wobbles of that. And it's completely calmed that. So that's his experience. But to speak more to my personal experience, and I appreciate we're running out of time here. So from my personal experience and how I'm going to be using this at the track. So that's 100 miles a day, 10 consecutive days, attempting a 1,000-mile record at a stadium. It's massive in that sense of just the enormity of this thing, right? But it will be in my final, like 9 o'clock till 10 o'clock is my calming down at the track. So I get more yin, and that will be playing with lighting and other modalities. But this will be being used in the evening of that yin time to get me into a position where I'm not, upregulated. It's been an intense day. So I can then look to sleep and get some sleep, I would say, because it will be some. I'm going to be sleeping between 4 and 6 hours. But it will be the depth and quality of that sleep. So that's what I've been training with this at this moment, those little 1% that you're talking about, it's actually a huge difference, I would say. So from my own personal experience, kudos.
Yeah, but also for you, 10,000 kilometers and in 10 days, I played football or soccer, let's say like this, it's d distances, it's unimaginable for me right now.
Yeah, well, that's 160 kilometers, 100 miles. Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
yes,
I guess it's
yeah,
just, again, it's all conditioning, isn't it? It's what we familiarize or
yeah,
normalize, and then what we can be doing to recover. Because the other story is I'm a 50-year-old man, right? So some of that storyline that we're speaking to at the track is number one cause of death for men under the age of 50 here in the UK is suicide. And so what I'm speaking to at the track are the tools and modalities that help me recover to perform. And that just means performing, not just to run
yeah,
around the track for an hour on end, but in those other realms that we started the conversation with. So
yeah.
in terms of mental health, brilliant,
Yeah, because I built an application for myself. It was my, let's say, personal tool. I read somewhere. Do you know the central nervous system, let's say,
Yeah.
tapping test? When you wake up in the morning, so we have this in our application. So my problem is that usually I will train and I get injured. So when I wake up, I do a central nervous system tap test in the app, trying to, in 10 seconds, to check my dexterity of my thumbs, basically. And this is one of the longest, let's say, signals that you can have. In a feet, it's longer, but with fingers, you can tap it on a screen for 10 seconds and see, okay, in 10 seconds, I can tap 57 times. If I am overtrained, but I feel good, I go to the application in the morning and I see 50 taps. So I have, let's say, about 10 to 12% of deviation, and I know that I'm already overtrained. My central nervous system did not
Yeah.
recover good, but I can feel good. But I can push myself to have an injury. This is my own
Okay.
demons which I encounter. So usually I started to cross-check this one. I do a CNS tap test and I do the grip strength in the morning. I have a dynamometer, which I try, and if I cannot generate the threshold level, I understand that I need to skip this day. Due to that, I can injure myself. So I try to cross-check myself if I'm getting, overtrained. So this is my personal, let's say, tools that I use if I do not know if I can train next day light or heavy.
Yeah. I'm just going to be an overtrained mess in August. I,
Yeah,
I just
for
have
you
to lean
it's
into it. But
impossible.
it is a great
Yeah,
tool because again,
yeah,
if we're training for something, it makes sense because the recovery again is that such an important piece. And,
yeah,
if you are in the realms of, I haven't really listened to the signals or I don't understand the signals, this is a great tool again for understanding those signals. So we get the feeling aspect because many of us are just all up in our heads and we've lost that ability to feel, So it can, I think the beauty of wearables now is that it is helping us reconnect to the feeling element. That feeling was right. That's what I was feeling at that
yeah.
time. Green tick. And then we can, hopefully that noise can get louder and louder in order for us to recover.
Yeah, because I do not know if people are, let's say, cross-checking, but for me, Apple Watch or Oura Ring, they are a lifesaver of that. I do not feel a symptoms if I, let's say, getting a cold, but on data I can already see 3 days before that my resting heart rate is increasing. And if I'm not training, it seems that something is trying to caught on, and I push every, let's say, or tease some remedies, etc., and do nothing, and it goes down, and I haven't been sick. I don't know, and for 5 years, more or less, just trying to track when my resting heart rate is increasing. I have some patterns on which I try to measure
Yeah.
myself. Yeah.
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 I can relate to that. I had a massive spike in my HRV. I mean, ridiculous spike. It went to like 156, right? And then it was so abnormal that something was going on. And within the next day, my recovery was down like way in the red, the lowest I'd ever seen it. So as if I went from like huge spike HRV to completely out, and I was wiped out. I was totally wiped out for a week. So even to see those abnormalities within it is is a lesson in itself, right? There's wisdom we're finding within those things. Povilas, listen, man, thank you for your time. I realise we well overshot that. So thank you for joining us. Thank you. I'm sure.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
A lot of people have learned something from that. I certainly have. So those that are listening, don't forget to like, subscribe. You can find more on the science behind Pulsetto if you need it. I think Povilas has pretty much unpacked a lot there. You can find that over www.pulsetto.tech/pages/science. And for 10% off, I have a 10% code, Povilas. There we go. That's www.pulsetto.sjv.io/Tony Riddle. And I'll put that in the show notes as well, so everyone has that. So, thank you, man. Really pleased that we've had you on.
Thank you.
Glad this conversation happened.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, it's a pleasure. And, I see what I can achieve, a little bit later in my years. And you are like an inspiration also for me. So it's see that, I'm starting to move from, let's say, active sports to, let's say, running, cycling, and etc. Due to that, I cannot play basketball or football every day or something. So, it's, you need to change, and I'm trying to understand what can be my next, let's say, endeavors on which I will try to focus.
Well, there's a reciprocity in that. So, you help me recover and I inspire you. I like that. That's great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Povilas. Yeah. Thank you.